Hey everybody, this is Andrew Postel. Welcome to another edition of the Drew 2. So today we're going to talk about exactly what's on your screen, how to make $100,000 a year with fixer-upper rental properties. And this is an accurate statement. I hope you don't mind me talking in this big of a number, but this is the precise strategy that I've been using for years. I was taught it by other people too. Maybe I've perfected it in some ways, but as we go along our real estate careers, you can absolutely use this strategy to make $100,000 a year with fixer-upper rental properties. So let's get into this so we can cover our topic in 22 minutes or less. That's what we do every time on the Drew 2, 22 minutes or less. All right, so what is the Drew 2 exactly? Well, I'm Drew. I'm Andrew Postel. I'm a vice president of lending at Guaranteed Rate. There's my contact information. If you want to talk about concepts or email me or call me, that's my direct line. Give me a call. I am a lender, but mostly I want to talk about being a real estate investor. I've been a real estate investor for 20 years. As a lender, I lend in all 50 states. When I speak about real estate, I mean residential real estate, not commercial stuff. Triple net leases are cool. Gas stations are fine. Warehousing, all that stuff. I don't want to knock it. I'm here to talk about residential real estate. That's where I've made my bones. Now, in the residential real estate world, structuring, screening tenants, rehabbing properties, finding them, all those things that you need to do. Maybe I don't know everything, but I know a couple things. I've been doing it for a day or two, and hopefully my experience can be shared here. When I started, there was nothing like this. The internet was barely a thing 22 years ago, right? So there was no bigger pockets. There was barely a YouTube. Maybe there was YouTube. I don't even think so. So there was no platform for me to learn on my own. I had to struggle. I'm hoping that these kind of classes help you understand how real estate works for us. You can also follow me on the Facebook, on the Instagram, all that good stuff. All right, so to get us all on the same page, why do we even invest in real estate in the first place? All right, so to me, I earn income in 3 different ways with real estate. 3 different ways. Number 1, I have cash flow on my properties. That's the income that comes in monthly from my rent. That's 1. The second way I earn income, my properties appreciate. This is residential real estate. They appreciate, maybe not every year, but they appreciate over time. And then number 3, each month my mortgage is bought down a little bit. So as my mortgage goes down, my appreciation goes up. That equity spread in the middle, I make money on that. I'm going to show you how you do it too. Sometimes we can make money on the cash flow, but even if I lose out on one income source, I've got the other 2 to go along with it, right? Now, I want to play devil's advocate for a minute. Can I buy a stock that appreciates? I absolutely could. Can stocks give dividends? Maybe we can consider that cash flow. Sure, absolutely. There are other investment strategies, and I own stocks. I have crypto. I've got other things too, but the bulk of my wealth is in real estate, not only because it appreciates, but because of other intangible benefits. So here's other benefits that we get from real estate. Number 1, it's a hedge. It's a hedge against inflation. Every year I get to increase my income because I increase my rents. Again, maybe not every year, but more likely than not, I'm increasing. I've been doing it for a long time. I've never decreased rents, ever. That's got to say something. The other piece of it, it's all tax deductible. Yeah, all of it. In the 20-something years, I've never paid a single dollar of income tax on my real estate. How is that possible? Because I'm taking advantage of the tax deductions. You can too. This is great. And it's also tangible. What's real estate got over it that a stock doesn't have? If the stock goes to 0, I'm completely out. I have nothing. But if my real estate goes to 0, I still got a piece of real estate that I can go live in. And the land, now, in the 5,000-year history of real estate, it's never been worth 0. So we also have a lot of history behind real estate too. People always need housing. They always need it. So let's get to the punchline. How do you make $100,000, Andrew? How do you do it? All right. let's look at the example of how we make $100,000 a year. I like to always talk about the average piece of real estate, $250,000 home. Let's say we put 20% down. That's the equity. Say my closing costs are 10 grand. All right, 5 years out of pocket is $60,000. Even in that scenario, my 5-year cash on cash return is 18% because I have appreciation, cash flow, principal buy down. The BRRRR method. This is a method, a technique that we use to buy fixer-upper rentals. We buy properties in disrepair. It's harder than the other way, but I come out of pocket less. I target off-market properties that are not listed on the MLS. I buy properties in a state of disrepair. I then repair the properties, and when I repair them, that's where I build in my equity. So the average investor has to put down 20%. That's 50 grand on that $250,000 home. The BRRRR method allows me to fix up the property and create the 20% equity. I then rent it, and then I refinance it with the 20% equity built in. And then I repeat it, BRRRR. I buy a disrepair property, repair it, rent it, repeat it over and over again. In this scenario, I want you to use a number of like 15 grand. That seems pretty fair. Have I purchased properties with less than 15 grand? Yes. Yes, I have. But I want you to use a math of like, hey, I'm just going to use 15. Be prepared for 15. In that scenario, now my cash on cash return over a 5-year period is like 200%. If I come out of pocket zero, it's infinite return because I didn't have anything. In this scenario, the average way to purchase a home is fine. Who doesn't want 18% cash on cash return? We all would love that. But I didn't have $60,000 when I started. I bought the first home I ever purchased was 50 grand. That was the home, 50 grand. The second home I bought was 7 grand. So, because I didn't have any money. And I didn't even know how to do all these techniques either. So the average way, even though it's easier, it's impossible. It's impossible. At least it was for me when I began. The BRRRR method, it's really hard. I'm simplifying it here. It's hard, very hard. But if one way is impossible and the other way is hard, what's my choice? I have to go the hard way, which is the BRRRR method. And we could talk about the BRRRR method. I talk about it a lot. So keep tuning back in if you want to hear specifically about that technique. Today, it's about just making the money. So let's say we bought a property and now we have it. Let's make the assumption. So 5 years. This is the 5-year assumption that I want you to use in your calculations. This is the example. After 5 years of owning that $250,000 property, we have 20% down, or the 20% equity that we built in, 5% appreciation, use 6.5% interest rate on your mortgage, that's fine. 16.15 rent, this means you're not cash flowing, and that's kind of what the scenario is currently. Cash flow may not be that feasible right now, and let's use some expenses. In that example, after 5 years, my value is now $319,000. After 5 years of 5% appreciation, I know the past years it's been like 20% or 15%. Maybe not every year it's like that. Let's use an average of 5, like Andrew has told you. In that example of appreciating for 5 years, my property is now worth $319,000. My principal balance of my mortgage, because it's been paid down over 5 years, is $187,000. That means if I sell it, I clear $112,000. After 5 years, I pay all my real estate agents, all my closing costs. 5 years. So in the BRRRR method, if you remember, how much out of pocket did we come? 15 grand. 15 grand to get 112,000? Really? Yes. Yes. This is exactly how it works. The average way works fine too, but I need a lot of cash to do that. This is how we do it in the BRRRR method. Now I have a choice. After owning it for 5 years, I can pocket the money, or I could go buy 2 more. 2 more. I'm going to pause here. We'll get back to that thought. Let me work on an example. Case study, actual home that Andrew owns Yes, I'm not letting the cat out of the bag too early, I hope. Let's use this example. This is the worst example ever in the history of examples, and Andrew's going to use it. This is his own property. It's in Jacksonville, Florida. I purchased it in 2008. Anybody know what happened in 2008? The worst time to buy a house ever. And I bought a house. I bought that house for $132,000. I put 0 down. My interest rate was 7%. Imagine this. I paid full market price. I built in 0 equity. I mean, I came out of pocket nothing, but my interest rate was really high, and it was in a homeowners association, which ate into my cash flow. My initial cash flow was negative $142. And then on top of that, the value went down every year. Every year it went down for 5 years. Andrew just told you to hold on to a property for 5 years and you're going to make a bunch of money. In this example, I held on to it for 5 years and got killed. Killed. $79,000. That's all it was worth after 5 years. How much money did Andrew lose? I didn't lose anything because I still own it today. I still own it right now. I never lost money. Now, don't get me wrong. I do lose money every month because my cash flow is low, right? And remember, I bought this in 2008. I don't know everything that I knew now. If I did it now, I would not buy this house. But even in this type of a scenario, I am going to sell this home this year. It's slated to be sold once the tenant moves out. And I'm going to sell it for about $260,000. I'm going to clear $137,000. How much money did I come out of pocket to buy this property? 0, right? Remember, I used the loan that I shouldn't have used. 0 equity, 0 down, and I made $132,000. All I had to do was keep the property long enough, and I would eventually be okay. My cash on cash return, so I have expenses. I've got that homeowners association fee, 101%, and my 14-year value increase averages out to be 5%. That's where I get my math from. So in this case study, the worst decision, it's a 2.5. It's a 2.5 home. It doesn't even have 3 bedrooms. It has more bathrooms than bedrooms. Who buys a rental property like that? I did. This guy did. And in a homeowner association, they can kick out renters at any time if they decide to. I bought this home. So anyway, worst case scenario, I'm still going to be fine. And when I sell this property this year, what's my choice? Am I going to keep the money or buy 2 homes? What would you do? Let's look at a graph. I hope you don't mind this graph. It's kind of a little crazy. So just hang on. So on the left-hand side of your graph is how many homes you're going to own. And yes, it does go to 180. That's homes. And at the bottom is how many years it takes to do this. All right, so just hang tight with me. So I just want you to think about buying 1 property a year. 1. I know, hey, Andrew, I want to buy 10, 15 properties every single year. That's great. It's really hard, okay? I mean, I appreciate your eagerness. Let's do 1. If you can do 1, let me show you what happens if you do 1. All right, so here's 1. You can see the little red tick mark at the bottom of the graph. Oh, it's so small compared. You're going to buy 1 property. 1 property per year. So year 1, you buy 1. Year 2, you buy 1. Now you're still holding on to it. So year 2, you bought 1. Now you have 2 properties. Year 3, you have 3. Year 4, you have 4, because you're only buying 1 property per year. But on year 5, oh, now I'm buying 1 BRRRR Method property. I'm selling my year 1 property. All right, so at the bottom of the graph, if you can read it on your screen, hopefully you can, the red is for how many BRRRR Method properties you buy per year. And the blue is the average method. You know, the thing where you put down 60,000. Yeah, you're going to do that. Maybe a little bit lower, but you're going to do that. You're going to keep buying 1 BRRRR property a year. You're going to sell 1 property after 5 to buy 2. So in year 5, you're going to have 6 properties, 7 properties, and then 9 properties, 11, and it's just going to keep growing and growing. Because in year 10, what are you going to do in year 10? You're going to sell your year 5 properties. You're going to sell 2 to buy 4, 2 to buy 4. And you're going to do that for 5 years. And then in the 15th year, you're going to be selling 4 to buy 8. And then year 20, you're going to be selling 8 to buy 16. Is that real? Yes. Yes. And then year 20, I mean, who cares at this point? You got 160 properties. You're so rich, you don't do anything anymore. You don't even do the BRRRR method anymore. Is this real? How many years have I been investing? Over 20, right? Now, I started out slow because I didn't do it right. The first time I bought was 50 grand. I then had $30,000 homes. So early in my career, before social media and learning and all these groups we can go to and learn about now, and to do it on your own, I was selling my properties to upgrade and trying to learn on the properties. So my first few years, I was not doing very well, but I'm doing all right now. I sell 2 properties to buy 4 each year now. So I'm somewhere between year 5 and 10. You can be better than me. All you got to do is just not make the mistakes that I did in the beginning. And then when you're selling 16 properties a year at $100,000 per property, that's 1.6. It's crazy to think about that you can do that. Now, why don't more people do this? Well, because this takes 15, 20 years to do. Who wants to get rich slow? I need my money now, right now. Right? Isn't that what we always talk about and what we always hear? Here's how you do it now. But the minute you start doing it, you're going to realize how hard this is to do in the first place. No book tells you that because it's not very sexy to tell you how hard it is to be in real estate and how consistent you need to be over a long period of time. But if you can do it, and you can, then you're going to have generational wealth that it's hard to even talk about in a way, as long as I know what to expect. So I hope you don't mind me talking in this frank way. It's hard, it's difficult, takes a long time, but it will change your life. So that's what we do. That's how we make $100,000 a year on buying fixer-upper rental properties. If you ever have any other questions about this technique, feel free to reach out. My contact information is on the screen there. That's my direct number, my direct email. This is Andrew Postel. Thanks for watching today's Drew 2. We'll talk with you soon.